YouTubes. This is Random Rob. Welcome back to another episode of the new show. Today I'm talking about the 2006 Sci-Fi Channel miniseries, The Lost Room. Now imagine this. You're a writer, TV show producer, and you're going in to pitch a series to Lionsgate Entertainment. You get the meeting, you sit down in the office, they ask you, what is your show about? And you say, it's about a motel room that doesn't exist. Now you would think that such a show would probably never get made, but rather like the titular Lost Room of the title, this show is something that exists. To briefly recap the plot, The Lost Room is the story of Detective Joe Miller, played by Peter Krause, who most would probably remember as Nathan from 6 Feet Under. Joe Miller and his partner are investigating a strange series of murders that occur at a pawn shop in the dead of night in, I believe, Chicago. In the course of investigating the crime, he realizes that one of the witnesses to the murders was a troubled youth that he had sponsored some years earlier, who he gets in contact with. But before he can tell Detective Miller exactly what happened, he's gunned down, and he gives Detective Miller a mysterious motel room key, labeled number 10. Joe Miller discovers this motel room key has very strange properties, in that any lock the key is inserted into will cause the door to open into the lost room. A motel room from the year 1961, mysteriously preserved in perpetuity through the magic of this key. Not only does the key create the lost room, though, you can theoretically exit the lost room and go anywhere in the world, provided you can visualize the place you're going to. The only catch is that the room resets itself every time the door is closed. That is, it goes back to its empty, cleaned state. Through a series of accidents, Detective Miller's daughter, played by Elle Fanning, vanishes inside the room. But the door is shut and the key removed before she can get out of the room. So Joe Miller embarks on a quest to recover his daughter and find out as much about the room and the key as he can. Complicating matters is the fact that one of the forensic pathologists that he works for, Dr. Ruber, played by Dennis Christopher, who some would probably remember from his appearances on Deep Space Nine as one of the Vorta or many other sci-fi shows. Dr. Ruber has also figured out what's going on and wants to get some of this power for himself. As the story progresses, Miller realizes that not only is the key that he possesses connected to this strange room, but that in fact there were multiple objects that belonged inside the Lost Room that are out in the real world, all of which have strange magical properties. Not only that, there are two secret societies trying to track down all the objects for themselves. One group called the Collectors, the other group called the Order. The Order wants to collect all of the objects together in the belief that it will give them the power to speak to God. The Collectors are attempting to gather all the objects to destroy them once and for all. Needless to say, I think The Lost Room confused quite a few viewers when it came out, especially if you had not seen the first episode first. This would not be a very easy show to follow. The really marvelous thing about this miniseries is how effective the world building and lore in it is conveyed, despite the fact that it's done on a very small budget with very little special effects, and it manages to be compelling and very entertaining. You've got magical items, you've got quantum physics, you've got secret societies, a detective story, a father-daughter story, and a terrific cast of characters. In fact, if there's one weak spot in The Lost Room, for me personally, it's Peter Krause's performance. He's good, but he's not great. Luckily, all of the character actors who surround him in this program are just terrific. Dennis Christopher, who I mentioned before, Juliana Margulies as Jennifer Bloom, the agent from the Collectors who contacts Joe and forms an uneasy alliance with him, and one of my absolute favorite character performances by Kevin Pollak as Carl Kreutzfeld, who's a well-to-do businessman who has a son who's dying of a blood condition. His character is this great mix of compassion and ruthlessness. He's by far far the best thing in the show. It's absolutely what I watch The Lost Room for. That, and because I love the world that this series creates. It's a heady mix of crazy ideas and seemingly wonky plot logic, except that it's not. The show's writers, Christopher Leone and Laura Harcum, really did their homework, working out the multi-dimensional logic of the room and the objects. And one of the details I really love about the show is that most of the side characters who own the different objects are pretty schlubby and crazy. The show gets across this idea that the ownership of these objects and trying to understand this non-understandable quantum event has driven all these people essentially mad. Another minor detail, it was all shot in New Mexico. Nice to see New Mexico in a TV series. I don't know if The Lost Room is available on streaming services. I don't think it's ever gotten a re-release, but you can pick it up really cheap off of Amazon on DVD. I think I got it for $4 when I picked it up. If you like mind-bending, conspiratorial kind of material, but done in a really accessible way, in a very entertaining way, I would definitely check out The Lost Room. Really wonderful little gem of a show produced by Lionsgate. Who knew? Alright, thanks for tuning in. If you liked what you heard today, be sure and press the like button and subscribe, and consider becoming a patron of the new show. This is Random Rob, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.